What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part 26 of my Total War Warhammer 3 modded Drazhoath the Ashen Old World campaign. So as we saw last time, we tried out the Acolytes of Khaishut in our elite melee infantry army, which worked out pretty darn well. Especially interesting to see the Infernal Ironsworn with their melee attack buffed over their melee defense. It makes the units pretty darn crazy, as the Blood Shrines and the Siege Giants combine to pump up their numbers quite a bit, and their weapon strength as well. So these guys hit pretty darn hard, the Acolytes hit pretty darn hard, and I don't see Blackworks standing any chance against them, though we'll see if we run into any. In terms of what we got to do this time, I think we did everything at the end of last episode in terms of this turn, and the only thing that remains is to end the turn and presumably to get attacked by these two stacks here. And it's going to be a dangerous fight by the looks of it. The very low leadership of the trolls is going to be the deciding factor as to whether they can weather the storm of all the range fire, including all those tons of troll hammers and quarrelers and stuff against them. And I guess we're going to see right now, because there is nothing else to do this turn. So we'll skip, and end the turn and then get attacked. And then, should we win or should we lose, it doesn't matter. Bardin Bruchhammer and the Relic of Morgrim is next. Alright, there we go. They will indeed sally out, and I genuinely have no idea whether we can actually win this with this army, but I am excited to see and find out. Weakness to fire damage, eh? Wait, Thunderers with Drake guns. Oh, is this an SFO unit? I hadn't seen these guys before, but that's interesting. That's something we might like to have. Thunderers with Drake guns that cause weakness to fire damage? Come on, game. And they have Iron Drakes with flamethrowers as well. Why are the regular dwarfs out-firing the Chaos Dwarfs to some degree? But anyway, should be a pretty fun fight regardless. Let's get to it. Alrighty, here we go. And hey, just the statistic is still alive. Good job, little laborers. Managed to not get yourselves wiped out. Now, this should be a pretty interesting fight, I'd wager. The trolls are going to be, well, they're going to be having quite a bit of an issue here. Lord Nearby does give them the 15 extra leadership, and Flank Secure gives them 5, but base and unit rank gives them 44 standard leadership, which means they have basically half as much leadership as a unit of miners on the enemy team. They have only 2 points more leadership than a unit of orc labor or goblin laborers, and as we know, the laborers can and will rout at the drop of a hat. Anyway, we're going to start the battle off by moving the bulls in as fast as we can go. We got to try to tear apart the enemy units of Iron Breakers with Troll Hammer, or Iron Drakes rather, with Troll Hammer torpedoes, as they're going to be a threat to our trolls. Though granted, the trolls are pretty insanely tanky, especially with the buffs and the regeneration that they have. But tankiness doesn't mean much if you're going to just rout as soon as something hits you. So yeah, there's still that to consider. Anyway, the bulls will work together in a bull blob as they try to break apart that unit of troll hammers, and they're down to about half of their HP, though at the cost of some damage to the bulls already, who are rapidly losing some HP here at 25%. The issue, of course, is that there are far too many enemy range units, and no matter where all the bulls go, they will be hit by something, by Iron Drakes, by Thunderers, by whatever. Though, at least a few hits of those will probably be hitting their own allies, so there is something to it, I suppose. Like so. Anyway, gonna try to charge through, as there is another unit of Iron Drakes or Troll Hammer torpedoes up here, but that was all mostly a distraction, as it is now time to set the trolls into the fight. Try to engage as many of the enemy as possible with the trolls, and hopefully the enemy won't be firing too many things at us, though it remains to be seen. Alright, and there we go, the trolls have engaged. There are some Grudge Settler Slayers here as well, and that's a tier 5 unit with plenty of damage on them. And so we'll have to be careful about that with the trolls, and here comes a bunch of satchel charges into the trolls as well, though it looks like that only cleared out their barrier, but, well, it's not just that. Another volley will take about 10, maybe 15% of the HP off the trolls. Here come the laborers as well, and frankly, the fact that the trolls ate all those blasting charges probably works out fairly well for us in terms of the satchel charges, thus not instantly wiping out all the laborers. And while we are engaged with all these longbeards, the enemy are firing away at us. We got iron drakes, we got those flame cannons, we got the thunderers with grudge rakers, and the gyrocopters firing down from up above. And we've suffered about 10 to 15% HP units on all the trolls now, and this one, as we can clearly see, is in the process of routing. It has not lost a single model yet, and it still has, what, 80% of its HP, but it is looking like it's going to start running, which is exactly what I was afraid of. On the bright side, though, the enemy backline is, well, it's definitely not in shambles because we just don't have enough units to distract all the enemy range firing units, but at least the iron drakes with troll hammers are not doing anything. And on top of that, our single Hobgob Khan has found an enemy Thane here and has, by the looks of it, defeated him and will be chasing him down. So that at least worked out for the single Khan. Alright, now I see some of the trolls and the volunteers are backing off. We can see this unit of trolls running as well, though they did at least lose one model. They're 9 out of 10, even if their HP is still at 80%. And it looks like a second unit of trolls is routing as well, and this one has not lost a model, but has lost at least 25% of their HP. Alright, so can we simply outlast the enemy? We shall see. Those damn grudge rakers still firing away at us. We do have our own bound abilities to help us out, since this army does not have artillery pieces, and we've been spamming away with the sneaky stabbing to pump out the melee attack, pump up rather, the melee attack of those trolls. Fortunately, some of the trolls have come back and are looking to move right into... Oh! Wow. Okay, it looks like our lord here just took a volley from... Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units, possibly more, 6 units, all decide to fire suddenly at the Hobgob Pelt Shaman. And he's not going to like that, and he's going to attempt to back off and dodge those, but it looks like he's going to rout or break. And that's with the Black Gem of Nar giving him invulnerability to actually keep him alive. Damn, that was close. Very sudden from the AI there, as it was previously focusing on the trolls by and large with everything it has, and man, those trolls are eating so much ammunition. And it looks like another unit of trolls will have to back off. This one's down to about 50% of its HP, though this one at least makes sense that it did back off. Bounce Bow remains in the enemy's favor, and the trolls are still engaged, though it looks like, I think, 3 or possibly now 4 of the units of laborers have booked it on out of there. Of course, this army is going to function a little bit like a Skaven army in that it will rout, rally repeatedly because it has a lot of subpar leadership type units. And there we go. Some goblin laborers are coming back. Those 2 units of trolls that routed are coming back, and another unit will be coming back, and another unit will be routing, and 2 more units will be routing. Those trolls. Look at I don't even know why this one is routing. Look at this. They're immune to psychology, too. They have 10 out of 10 models, and what, 95% of their HP? This is where they're routing with. Trolls. Yeah, we may want to actually get a War Shrine of whatever in this particular army. Once again, I'd love another War Shrine of Nurgle in this army, similar to the Laborer army, because the War Shrines do provide additional leadership. Although I suppose in this particular situation, the War Shrine would have been obliterated anyway. It wouldn't have helped, simply because the enemy has so many range units that the range units would have focused it down and obliterated it in the same way that they nearly did our Lord, who, frankly, is running around with barely any HP, just sticking around, trying to add a little bit of support. Trolls up on the hill on the right flank are still very much in the fight, though, unlike the ones down in the valley below who routed repeatedly. These guys have been in the fight for a lot longer, so good to them, or good for them. Sneaky stabbing and armor of contempt is also keeping them up and running, and still fighting all of these piles of longbeards and some of the enemy range units that have made their way into the melee, because the bulls have forced them there. Otherwise, it looks like our routing trolls have all returned to the fray now. And some of the goblin laborers will continue to rout, but that's just fine. The enemy's back line is now dropping, or at least running out of units, and while we still haven't been able to engage every single one, a lot of them are currently occupied. Iron Drakes have rallied, I guess a little bit of a taste of our own medicine. We rally, they rally, but they're not routing nearly as quickly as we are. Alright, some Slayers appear to have trapped one of the irregular Tauruses here. Double quarter pounder. But it looks like there's not enough Slayers to actually threaten this thing, and the bull will gore them all to death. Otherwise, it looks like the balance power is at about 65% in our favor. Some of the bulls have joined some of the trolls and limited remnants of the laborers in the fight as well. And ooh, hello. Something has decided to target our lord. It's the enemy master engineer. Interesting. Gonna try to dodge that fire from him. Oh, don't tell me that one shot from the engineer is going to send you routing, dude. Okay, he's still in the fight, and we are still in the fight, and the enemy is still in the fight, so. This was always definitely going to be a toughie, but it looks like we are starting to... okay, looks like he took another hit from that Master Engineer, and this time he will in fact break and will start running. Fortunately, there is a long, long way to travel towards the edge of the map, as we are right in the center of this particular map. The gyrocopters are also starting to run out of ammunition, and at least one of them, this one, the regular one, has 173 kills and 19k damage, which admittedly is pretty darn impressive. And, dude... would you rally? His leadership isn't recovering for some reason. There's no enemy near him, so it really should be, That's not good. Okay, hopefully he doesn't rout and then Lord Flood the battle doesn't cause the leadership of all of the trolls to drop and then cause us a loss. But it looks like it, okay, it looks like the enemy army will shatter just as our own Lord flees the battlefield. Oh, that was right on time. That was really dangerous. I don't really understand why he actually fled the battlefield, considering the balance of power and the fact that he hadn't shattered and the fact that there were no enemies, so his leadership should have come back up, but oh well. At least the trolls managed to carry the day against this pretty darn hard target. Lovely. And, oh, well, these ones have actually reached their healing cap, so they did take a fair bit of damage. These ones look perfectly fine. No healing cap, full barrier, full HP, all models there. And I think just by chasing the enemy units, most of them will have recovered most of their HP in terms of their regeneration. Ooh, alrighty, we did manage to pull that off, but damn was that close. We came very, very close to losing it, even though it says heroic victory. The issue is, as we saw, trolls running with all of their models, with all of their HP, even their barrier not down because their leadership is so low. So, yeah, if more of them had routed at once, it would have been bad. Several of the bulls routed as well, and, well, these guys all did come back. Our lord, unfortunately, did not, and despite breaking and not shattering, decided to run across half the entire map and then off screen rather than rallying, which was quite rude. Definitely had to watch out for those gyrocopters, though. I think they were the ones that did a little bit of damage to him and freaked him out so much that he decided to abandon the battlefield. Still, we did pretty darn well in terms of managing to beat back the tide of regular dwarfs. And it was the leadership that was the deciding, or would have been the deciding factor if we had lost. Very, very close fight. And a really fun one as well, as we had to essentially just jump back and forth with all of our bulls between units of enemy range so that we could try and make sure that they weren't really too labor. That's a decent amount of labor. But will this let us auto-resolve? I think it should. I'm just going to assume that it should. Anyway, back and forth bouncing between the enemy range units to make sure that they couldn't fire. Rampager standard. And let's put it on the Hobgoblin Khan, who did 8,000 damage and, admittedly, was quite useful in helping assassinate the enemy single entities, of which they were frickin' 5. And the Thanes and Lord are pretty darn difficult to bring down. For the Bulls, at 17k double quarter pounder, and at 21k the quarter pounder with cheese, which I apparently misspelled and didn't realize, and I'm going to try to remember that I did that. Alright, take the labor, I guess. Alrighty, ally mobilizes against army, sure, ally attacks army, and Knights of Kalador destroyed, which means we just got short victory. Enemy killed in battle, there's that Rampager standard we got, a Lamasu for Zavatral Jegthrong Convoy, I don't really care about that. We got some traits, ready for duty, corporate spy is back, ready for duty, technology researched, and the next one's already on the way. Convoy completed, we'll have to send one out there somewhere. And the free forbidden rod. Not too bad, and a free armor of the forge as well, and there's that short victory. More raw material consumption reduction and workload requirement for raw materials. Major relic missions become available. I don't think that applies, right? Since we've had them this entire time, unless I'm mistaken, so we can ignore that. Anyway, nice to have the reduction in raw materials as well. Not that we really need it at this point in time, since we're hurtling towards the end of the campaign, probably a couple more episodes left, as we are looking to unlock that final battle rather shortly. Now, where was this? Okay, yeah, you're here. You're going to auto-resolve this, and... oh yeah, also every single one of our laborers fled the battlefield, but that's hardly surprising. That's kind of what they're there for. Auto-resolve it, yes. Yes. No damage to the trolls or the bulls, that's good. Massive damage to Lukta Sindrazan, but, well, that's what he gets for fleeing the battlefield. Occupy the place as a tower, I suppose. Or we could raise it for the raw materials and then reoccupy it. Is the raw materials more valuable than... well, now 1,100 labor is pretty darn solid. Occupy his tower. Alright, and then heal up to full or bullish, as best you can. You can reach Cursed Mount, which I believe is the last territory of the Karak Azorn Dwarfs. And it's a Pyrrhic victory, and you know what, we'll give them the chance to sally out as well. Might as well. Who knows? They might be willing to try and fight this. Whether that's a good idea remains to be seen on their part, but it's probably at least less cowardly than sitting there. And these guys, well, we probably should try to avoid declaring too many wars at this point, as we're nearing the end of the campaign, as the interest isn't really there anymore, so certainly something to think about. Broken Tooth Hold, are you defended? You are. And by virtue of that, we might have to move close to it, but spend the turn healing. So we'll stay here for one turn and camp, or actually we're healing to full anyway. Let's forge channeling. And then hit Broken Tooth Hold after. These guys don't have much in the way of territory left, and then let's do whatever other moves we have before attacking with Drazhoath and getting his relic. Kuntish, ooh yes. You finally reached your... okay, so I guess we can send you through the waste here. Alright, so this is what we'll do. You, go here. Jarthraz the Grey, you have finally brought the Doomflayers and the Skullcrackers to work together in Kuntish's army. Like so, we don't need the... frankly, the archers are probably not going to be useful here. I mean, I suppose the Hobgoblin Wolf Raiders can actually keep pace with the faster moving guys. Maybe we replace all the gobs here with artillery gobs. Or not artillery. I just got artillery on the mind. With fast-running gobs, with cavalry. That's the word. That's the one I'm looking for. Anyway, I guess you're going here to the Den of the Great Wolves. I wonder if it would be faster to go along the road and... actually, probably not. Alright, fine. Go like this. How about you go, buddy? And then Jarthraz, you can get rid of these hobgobs. We don't need them anymore. And yeah, they've been around with Kuntish for a while, and he does still have the Harsh Master / Brutal Disciplinarian. But that does apply to the fast-moving cav gobs. So at least they can keep pace. Alright, you will sit in Drinadrinaz. Possibly forever. You don't have a... yeah, you're a vengeful one. Yeah, we can just ignore you. Or delete him, but, you know, maybe he might want to transfer something somewhere. Again, it's a possibility. Ostrogoth, you were supposed to head to the Trials of Hashut, which you can't reach, but you can reach Gulgrog's Monolith, so I guess you'll head there first, since you can reach in one turn, and then to the Trails, rather, of Hashut. And quick little autos. Oh my lord, why does it keep hurting the Bull Centaur renders so much? It's kind of crazy. They wouldn't have gotten anywhere near as hurt, and they are vastly superior, or at least supposed to be vastly superior to the trolls that we have, so they really shouldn't be getting hurt less than them. But anyway, frankly, I don't really care about any of these territories, but, well, while we're here, you know, the oil and the Hellforged drill, so, yeah. Opal Amulet, don't care about that. Who's up next in terms of moving around? Zatan, yes, alright. I think we'll ignore this little Orky faction for now, unless they declare war on us directly. Jump over it, and instead head directly towards the Silver Pinnacle, since we're looking to do a little bit of objective gaming, as the Silver Pinnacle is our next relic. We can just keep Libetash the Grey ready for an assault on the enemy, together with the other... there you go. Together with the other Hobgob force. More likely than not, these guys will declare war on us, but they're also kind of weak, and I don't even see a stack here, so they're kind of not even worth our time at this point. Alright, so you guys stay there. Corpsec, stay there in case somebody attacks us. Gotta remember that the orcs can jump over stuff and move towards attacking us. Next up, who still has to move? RuinusInsight and the Laborer piles. Now, we're still a little bit damaged. We do have the... Oh, actually. Let's sit here for another turn, I guess. Just channel then. You're stuck for one more turn. It's annoying that these guys are recruiting, but, well, I just want these guys to finish up with those Chaos War Shrines of Khorne. Once again, would have been really nice if they were Chaos War Shrines of Nurgle, but we'll take what we can get. Troop Train. You know what? Actually... Libetash, you have Tyrant, and Armorer, and Adjutant, and you have Bellicose. Troop Train has what? He's a Dust. Now, you know what? We will transfer from Troop Train to Libetash, and rather than continuing to recruit, Libetash can command this army. Alright, I like it. And Libetash. We're gonna ignore the Slaves of the Black Dwarf because, frankly, there's no real reason to declare war on them at this point in time. We have enough territory to be getting on with. We will want to move towards the Ironbrow's expedition, though. So that remains the case. So you can jump here. Oh, wait. You can't jump here. You are in need of an Infernal Castellan. I guess we could take the materialistic one. It doesn't really matter which one we get. Take this guy here, and then you can join Libetash's army. Speaking of armies, I mean, I guess we can send all of these armies here to wipe out the Ironbrow's expedition. They're closer, and frankly, Grimgor's territories are so far away that it feels like it's better to do it this way. Jump here, and then I guess Gorth the Cruel, you can do the same thing. Let's burninate some of the OG dwarfs. We got 3 armies on the way, and I'm willing to bet Thorak won't be happy about it. He's got 10 settlements, probably at least 2 stacks out there, and probably some decent garrisons, so we should get at least a fight for all of those armies. Vrogny is good. Who else is good? Gorazin, Skullsons. Well, you were chasing after Imric, which is no longer needed because Imric is gone, and we have the short victory condition. So I guess you're just going to start moving this way towards the other orcs and whatnot that are standing against us. Go right here. Good. Tecton Azogor, you will... I guess you will advance towards Grimgor's other territories. Let's go March Stance. And of course, Mulliganar will follow you. Also in March Stance, I guess. As the two will continue traveling together. Hopefully they can find Grimgor and allow the super elite forces to do that. As in fight. Anybody else need to move this turn? Troop Train has... Well, Troop Train, I guess, is a Troop Train, and go figure it. You can sit in Jarnagrund if in the unlikely event that we need to recruit anything. Vrogny Skarugs, you're supposed to join these forces down here, so keep moving down there. Corporate Spy. I mean, I guess technically we don't really need to move these guys anymore, but you can keep sort of hanging around and being a scout. The rest of these guys, not so much. Steel tech. Not necessary. Our tech is basically complete already. Well, maybe not already, because we're turn 96, admittedly. It's lasted decently long. You, I guess, can move over here. All right, and I believe that's everybody that needs to move other than... Who the heck is Stromny Bullbreaker? Oh, right, you. I wanted you to fight some Bretonnians, get a little bit of melee cav versus melee cav action, if we can actually find wherever their main stack is. They have 3 settlements. I don't think they have a stack here, but let's move and find out. Yeah, there we go. They got stacks here. Oh, wow. I don't think you can fight that many at once. Maybe if we declare war on them, they'll try to attack us in the field. I would like to see how well the Hobhound Ravagers and Wolf Raiders together face off against Bretonnian Knights. Probably not super well, because the enemy has a lot of armor, and we don't have a lot of armor piercing, but I am still very excited to find out. So we'll move over here, declare war on them, and see if they're willing to attack us with all of those armies at the same time. Should be pretty interesting, and if the Hobgobs there fail, who cares? They're just Hobgobs. We'll simply send these guys to deal with them. Next up, we will... Assuming that that was finally the last who needed to move, and I think it was. I moved, yes? Yeah, I think that's everybody. Middle Manager Stormbreaker, I lied. Okay, it's not everybody. You... I mean, you are gonna go up north, and... I mean, I guess that could still be the case. We probably don't need any more armies up there, to be perfectly frank, except possibly to fight the Cathians. And this army has actually gotten one of the, sort of the most screen time compared to other armies, so I wouldn't be mad about starting to move it this way instead. It probably won't reach where it needs to go before the end of the campaign, but who knows. Alright, now is that the last? And let's see. Corpsec moved. This is why I usually try to do this in order, because I get confused at all of the armies running around. But I think that's it. Alright, now, time to get that other relic before we run out of time here, which we very much are. Drazhoath, let's level you up before we fight. You still don't have Ashen. We could get you that, but we do still want to get... Well, the Fireborn and the Destroyers, let's get them Wretched Warhost, since they actually benefit from it. These guys aren't quite there yet, though the Mobile Oppression Palace is. Let's get Standard Die, and then we'll get the other points in here afterwards. These guys probably don't need their levels, really, other than restock. Anything here super useful to you or to the rest of our army? Probably not so much. Let's get you the missile resistance, just in case. Who knows? You might get hit by some missiles. And it is certainly dangerous to you. And then you can do the same, and then you, if you don't have it, can do the same as well. Not Hushed Scales. Okay, you already have Headdress of Shard. Let's get you Arcane Conduit. And you already have Onslaught. Let's get Transmutation of Lead. It's unlikely that we'll need it, since Drazhoath is the one casting for this army, but who knows. Speaking of Drazhoath, it's time to hunt down and destroy the Cult of Morgrim. How dare he have machinery and stuff. That's only for us. And Pyrrhic Victory, that's what I like to see. Wow, the Cult of Morgrim is working together with the Greenskins, eh? Interesting. How low they have sunk. Go. Oh wow, rare to hear Drazh insult the enemy rather than insult Astragoth, but well, I suppose it's appropriate when facing off against the OG Dwarfs. Here we go, we have set up our ranks of Dowijar waiting for the Cult of Morgrim to arrive, and of course there will be a little bit of fire exchange as the enemy cannons fire upon our bone grinders here, and we fire back at the enemy artillery with our own, though the enemy is being foolish, targeting our infantry rather than our own artillery pieces, as they might have been a threat to the Mobile Oppression Palace if they had actually focused it down with all those cannon. Unfortunately, at this rate, they will lose their artillery, and then they will have no artillery to fire back with. and thus will probably start moving towards us. Speaking of moving towards us, it looks like the enemy reinforcements, the orcs, as weird as that seems, will be appearing behind us, but that's alright. We're going to do this battle a little bit differently than we normally might. Drazhoath, who would normally destroy half of the enemy army by himself with all of his spellwork, will ignore the enemy army completely and drop not a single spell on their main force, just gonna spend the time chasing around some of the enemy gyro bombers. And as for our Kadai, we're going to send all of the Kadai Fireborn and Destroyers to wipe out the enemy orcs, while the Dawi face off against a Dawi Jar only. And their machines, of course. We'll see who comes out on top with about half of our stack here, and without Drazhoath to lead them. I think this will be appropriate. We're going to take the insinuation that we actually need sorcery, or that we need bound demons to fight the enemy. We absolutely do not. And I think Drazhoath would like to prove that to the enemy, before, of course, obliterating them all in the flames of Azgorh, though not literally, because he's not going to use it. Anyway, looks like the very nice hit from that Dreadquake into the enemy hammers, though it looks like the insanely heavy armor of the enemy is keeping them alive for quite a lot longer than usual. 2 minutes and 30 seconds of sustained bombardment, after all, and they are still very much moving towards us, and by the looks of it have not lost a single melee unit. First of the enemy hammers, being under fire from both of our artillery pieces, will by the looks of it be the first unit to fall. Anyway, the enemy is now starting to approach, but the slow dwarfs have become even slower, and due to the suppression effect from the fire glaives, so they're going to take a long time to reach us. And while they do have range units on their own, it looks like a unit of regular Thunderers will begin firing upon the axes of the Ashen here. They've got armor and they've got shields, and it's going to be a difficult time for the enemy to deal with this. We're going to slow the enemy dwarfs down even further here. Ash Storm and Suppression, bringing them down to 3 movement speed. These guys aren't moving until they get out of until the Ash Storm is pretty much done. And there we go, look at all those fire glaives firing away at the Cult of Morgrim units, who are still attempting to approach but having a difficult time doing so. And well, if it isn't a unit of Iron Breakers here, take a few naphtha bombs to the flanks. Although the enemy will hit us back with some Iron Drakes, how dare you. We'll bring those flamethrowers down with one of our fire glaives units. Hopefully they don't do too much damage to our Iron Sworn here. And it looks like there's those blasting charges from the enemy Iron Breakers hitting our Iron Sworn. And there we go, it's Iron Breakers versus Iron Sworn in melee. Now screw the exchange of naphtha bombs for blasting charges. Let's do this in melee, and let's compare stats while we're at it. What do we have here? So the Iron Breakers have 43 melee attack and 80 melee defense. Conversely, we have lower melee defense at only 71, but 67 much higher melee attack. Plus, we have magical armor sundering damage, while the enemy does not, and we have considerably more armor, and due to that sundering, bringing the enemies down. There we go. And while this is sort of the main element of this particular battle, the bigger part of the show, the orc enemy army has arrived as well to reinforce the dwarfs, as weird as that still sounds. But all of the Kadai have moved on in and are absolutely shredding those poor orcs. By the looks of it, they have no chance. I don't think most of our Kadai have even lost their barrier. A couple of them have. And we even summoned our summoned unit of Kadai here, because we are not using anything magic or support to help these guys out. But frankly, I don't think they need it. The Cult of Morgrim is, by the looks of it, pretty much destroyed. The enemy lord still moving forward, gonna eat some flames from the Mobile Oppression Palace, as well as a Dreadquake and fire from our fire glaives, down to that 3 movement speed and 5% HP. He is never going to reach us, and he'll simply melt away. Okay, that was not on cue. Come on, one more volley from those foe. There we go. And, oh wow, he survived that. 381 HP. Alright, fair enough. And there's that Dreadquake, and he's still backing off. Somebody's taking him. There we go. Ooh, perfect shot from our infernal castellan, who takes the enemy lord's head with a shot to the back. And a coward's wound, though it'll probably be kind of hard to tell as I imagine his head exploded and not in a good way. Anyway, with that, the Cult of Morgrim, having barely been able to approach our battle line, has been destroyed. Did get a little bit of action for our various units of Ironsworn, which tore through the enemy Ironbreakers. Though without ranged support, I imagine it would have taken a lot longer. Just once again, though, by virtue of the fact that we have armor sundering and magical damage and higher melee attack, the Ironsworn would have won. Oh, and we don't even have rank 7 yet on them. If we did, they'd probably be killing even faster. Anyway, there we go. We'll chase down the enemy as best or as much as we can, whether it be orcs or Dowie. Frankly, they're both pretty much as low as each other, so maybe it's a match made in the halls of the ancestors of the regular Dowie at any rate. Anyway, destroy them all, chase them down, etc. Nice fight. And there we go, so falls the Cult of Morgrim, the ancestor god of engineers, perhaps learning once and for all that the Chaos Dwarf machinery is superior. We use neither sorcery nor demons to defeat the enemy, dwarf stack, just our Infernal Guard and Ironsworn, and of course our machines. Worked out pretty darn well. We are going to, wait, let's just see, for the Kadai Fireborn at 256 kills and 38,000 damage. Legion of Doom cut apart the most. Orcs, of course, the Mobile Oppression Palace and Hell's Bells both did well as our only artillery pieces. Furnace of Wrath beat out Peacebreaker by a little bit, and at 17k it looks like the Fire Marshals and killed off the most of the regular Dowie, while at 8.8 Drazhoath's Dreadguard obliterated. I believe these guys were dueling an enemy unit of Ironbreakers, so kill the most Ironbreakers, I guess, which is a feat in and of itself. Anyway, we'll transport those captives. The Cult of Morgrim is destroyed, and we will keep his relic for ourselves. And because we will want the last relic to be the Relic of Garagne, which is obviously much more important, being a major god as opposed to a... I think this counts as a minor relic, doesn't it? Well, either way. Focal Lens of Morgrim also gives us plus 10% range and missile strength for missile infantry, war machines, and artillery, which frankly could go in pretty much any of our ranged armies and would be obnoxiously strong. We could give this, I mean, this is an engineer thing, we could give this to Zatan. The only issue there is that it's, a lot of Zatan's units are also melee, although... well, maybe actually 4. It's not that many. I don't know. I'll think about it. Not that it makes much of a difference either way. Anyway, let's give this a read. Hushet will be delighted by the blood spilled to claim this relic of our most hated foes. The Focal Lens of Morgrim bears a powerful enchantment. Its magic no doubt more than enough to power the Great Drill of Hushet. Yet you could choose to parade and use the lens instead. Your demonsmiths would salivate at the possibilities were such an enchantment used to increase your bombardment capabilities. I do like bombardment capabilities. Claim for yourself.
The cunning and cruelty of demonsmiths is equally matched by a voracious greed for knowledge. Further experiments reveal the blood of captive dwarves thickening, a physical toll of their master's dark sorcery. This petrification by proxy is seized on by the Coven as a chance to escape the awful curse that hangs over all their tribe.
Alrighty, there we go. And then there was two. Well, one battle and then one settlement that has to be captured. Why waste an ancient and powerful relic when the Dowie Jar could wield its power instead? The Focal Lens of Morgrim will prove a boon to the engineers of our infernal empire, spurring them to produce the greatest war machines known to any realm. No wonder the crowds cheer as the relic is flaunted through the streets. One can only imagine the bloody carnage such dark engines will wreak. Although it's not like the enemy is... Oh. Okay, we have to... Okay. Auto-resolve. And And wait, sack it for a second. No, don't go that way. Dude, what are you doing? Why would you move that way? You were over here. Chase this guy down and make sure that this army doesn't recover. Ah, how to resolve. And oh right, we have the I forgot about this ability. The summoning of a hobgob army. That's kind of funny. Frankly, we don't really care about any of these territories up here, so I'm gonna say kind of meh, but I don't know, occupy this factory, I guess. And just because we're here, I don't know whether we'll bother actually building it up. There's also Clan Rictus running around here, and frankly, we probably don't have time to deal with them, nor are they of any kind of real threat to us anyway. Anyway, with that, folks, we're out of time. I'm going to call the episode here. Next time, we will attempt to approach the Silver Pinnacle with Zatan and acquire the fourth and final artifact that we claim for ourselves, and then we'll be on the approach to the final and Great Trill of Hushut bound, or used for the drill. A relic here, the Relic of Grugni, which is up here somewhere. It's close by. It's right here. It's right here. And it's going to take a few turns to get up there, admittedly, so we do have to book it on up there rather than waste our time and down here. So stay tuned for more Chaos Dwarfs just for a little bit. Don't forget to leave those likes in the comments below, as they will determine how long the campaign runs for. All glory to the algorithm, and thanks for watching.